evening and salam perpaduan. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Lee and you're watching News at 10. In our top stories tonight, body of last Batang Kali landslide victim found. Government sets up committee to monitor cost of living. The search and rescue or SAR operations for the father's organic farm landslide tragedy concluded today with the extraction of the 31st victim earlier in the evening. The body of the last victim was found inside a sleeping bag at a depth of 1.5 meters. Hulu Selangor Police Chief Superintendent Sufian Abdullah said the body of the boy, aged between 7 and 12, was found face down on the hillside about 4 meters from the campsite in Sector A.
Lebih kurang jam 4.53 petang, tim SAR kita telah berjaya mengesan satu sleeping bag, yang berada dalam keadaan terlungkup pada kedalaman 1 meter di tebing, di bahagian tebing. Kawasan ini adalah kawasan Sektor A, dan hasil pemeriksaan mendapati di dalam sleeping bag ini ada satu mayat kanak-kanak, dipercayai satu lelaki dan dalam anggaran umur 7 ke 12 tahun. Anggaran dia 7 ke 12 tahun dan keadaan dia berpakaian lengkap, masih sempurna tetapi dah mula mereput. Dan setakat petang tadi, kita telah pun mayat ini telah pun dihantar ke Hospital Sungai Buloh untuk bedah siasat.
The search and rescue or SAR operation will continue for flushing and investigation at the site to ensure that the area is really safe. The Batang Kali Genting Highlands Road, which is currently closed due to the recent landslide disaster in Batang Kali, Hulu Selangor, will be widened and reopened at the beginning or middle of January. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari said that the matter was decided as a result of his meeting with the Selangor Public Works Department or PWD yesterday. The reopening of the road is expected to help 4,000 to 5,000 residents in Batang Kali, Hulu Selangor to commute, especially for those who work in Genting Highlands, Pahang. The area on the left or right side of the Batang Kali Genting Highlands Road will be widened to allow the residents of Batang Kali to use the road, but only light vehicles can pass through it. In another development, Amiruddin said that the Selangor government will not hold any 2023 New Year celebrations as a mark of respect to the victims involved in the landslide incident in Batang Kali, Hulu Selangor. However, he would not stop other parties such as private companies or residents' clubs from holding such events, but they should be carried out in moderation. The government has set up a committee to oversee the implementation and monitoring of the people's cost of living with the cooperation of related ministries to overcome the issue in a comprehensive manner. Now, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the committee was established on the instruction of the Prime Minister, who has made the issue a priority.
Saya telah bekerjasama dengan menteri-menteri yang tertentu yang menjaga portfolio mengenai kos harga hidup ini bersama-sama dengan ketua-ketua setiausaha dan ketua-ketua pengarah serta lain-lain pegawai kanan di tiap-tiap kementerian untuk menangani permasalahan ini secara tuntas. Dan kita lihat bahawa dalam tempoh sebulan ini juga beberapa pengumuman telah dilakukan dan perubahan-perubahan dilakukan telah diumumkan setiap selepas mesyuarat kabinet dilaksanakan pada setiap minggu. Dan tentunya ianya telah melegakan kebanyakan rakyat dan ini adalah merupakan pendekatan baru yang pada khidmat saya suatu pencapaian yang dibuat oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim.
Speaking at an event in Shah Alam, Selangor, he said various efforts and methods had been carried out by the government to tackle the issue of the rising prices of goods and shortage of food supplies. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has called on state governments to step up their preparedness plan to face major floods and take preventive measures. The Deputy Prime Minister said preemptive measures have been proven to ensure that environmental damage does not worsen the existing situation. In addition to natural and geographical factors, he said human factors could also be the cause of major floods to such an extent that there are areas which have never been hit by floods are experiencing them now. In a posting on his official Facebook page, the Deputy Prime Minister also said illegal logging and uncontrollable forest clearing have caused severe damage to the ecosystem, while the rain catchment areas lost their function. At the same time, drainage system also needs to be maintained to prevent stagnant floodwaters which would cause flash floods or major floods in villages or housing areas in the cities. Furthermore, he admitted that the National Disaster Management Agency, or NADMA, is always ready, especially with 400 million ringgit allocated for flood preparedness this year end. However, leaders must also be concerned where they should be at all times for the natural disaster. Now, any non-governmental organizations or NGOs wanting to channel aid to flood victims in Kelantan have been advised to register with the Disaster Operations Control Centre, or PKOB, to ensure better coordination of assistance. Kelantan Police Chief Dato' Muhammad Zaki Harun said it was also to avoid duplication of efforts and ensure that the distribution of aid could be done in an orderly manner. The presence of NGO with their expertise on the related field is much needed, but must be optimized and regulated for more efficient implementation. Earlier, Dato' Muhammad Zaki received donations of various basic necessities such as personal hygiene kits, disposable diapers and dry food from EconSave and ATC Food Syndrome Berhad to be distributed to flood victims in the state. He assured that the police would ensure the safety of the property and belongings of flood victims evacuated to relief centres in the state. He also said that a total of 60 members of the Federal Reserve Unit and 70 members of the General Operations Force, or GOF, would be deployed to carry out post-flood operations. All of them would be deployed to ensure the smooth running of post-flood cleanup work, especially in the affected houses of worship and schools. The Education Ministry, or MOE, has allocated 50 million ringgit to repair and restore schools affected and damaged by floods. Its Minister Fadlina Siddiq said the ministry is currently waiting for a complete report from the State Education Department and the District Education Department regarding the damage sustained by schools.
Kita sudah ada peruntukan lebih kurang 50 juta untuk kita salurkan untuk penyelenggaraan sekolah pasca banjir. Jadi kita akan minta kerjasama semua JPN dan PPD untuk menyediakan senarai sekolah-sekolah yang perlu diberikan perhatian pasca banjir, khususnya penyelenggaraan, untuk kita percepatkan proses penyelenggaraan bagi memastikan kanak-kanak boleh masuk sekolah dan memulakan sesi pembelajaran dengan segera.
So far, 287 schools have been hit by floods throughout the country. From the total, 205 of them have been restored, while another 82 schools and institutions under MOE are still affected. On a related note, Fadlina said the school session for states or areas unaffected by floods would continue as scheduled on the 2nd of January for Kedah, Johor, Kelantan and Terengganu, as well as 3rd of January for other states. Coming up, KPDN to use JPJ's vehicle database for RON 95 targeted subsidy. Now, in conjunction with the celebration of Christmas tomorrow, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria have extended Christmas greetings to all Malaysians of Christian faith. In a post on Istana Negara's official Facebook page today, Their Majesties also hoped that the celebration would bring peace, prosperity, joy and well-being to the Christian community in this country. Now, Christmas falls on Sunday. Monday is a replacement holiday in the public service, providing for a long weekend. Now, Malaysians are reminded to keep the less fortunate, including those who are faced with hardships, sorrow and loneliness, in their thoughts as they celebrate Christmas with family, friends and loved ones. In a posting on his official Facebook in conjunction with Christmas celebrations, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim hopes that the rakyat will continue to play their part in ensuring a harmonious, peaceful and united society. Efforts to sow and nurture the seeds of unity is not only on the shoulders of leaders. Messages containing elements of hate and attempts to fan the flames of discord must be quashed with tolerance and love between every member of the public. As a multiracial country with various cultures, it has become a common thing to enhance ties between members of different races and religions in society to express good wishes in times of celebration. The Premier also took the opportunity to call upon Malaysians going back to their hometowns to be careful when travelling on the road. Minister of Communications and Digital Fahmi Fazil has also extended his Christmas greetings to all Christians who will be celebrating the occasion throughout Malaysia tomorrow. The Christians will celebrate Christmas tomorrow, and as a common practice in the country, it is expected that the celebrations will be made more lively with the holding of open houses, which will be attended by the rakyat from all walks of life. Now, the government will announce several matters that have been agreed upon regarding the Malaysia Agreement 1963 or the MA63 in January. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadillah Yusof said Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim would make the announcement after chairing the weekly cabinet meeting sometime next month. Currently, Datuk Seri Fadillah said the MA63 Technical Committee is examining and finalising a number of matters, including the delegation of authority to agencies such as the Public Works Department, JKR, and the Department of Irrigation and Drainage. There are also some matters outside of MA63 that have been requested by Sabah and Sarawak to be considered by the federal government.
Kita sudah melihat apa yang telah direncanakan dalam kerajaan yang lepas, terutamanya apa yang telah dipersetujui. Dia ada tiga perkara. Satu yang telah selesai melalui devolution of power. Satu lagi perkara-perkara yang dah dibincangkan, dah dapat keputusan dasar. Satu lagi yang dalam perbincangan belum mendapat keputusan dasar, dan satu lagi perkara yang di luar bidang MA63 tapi dipohon dan diminta oleh Sabah dan Sarawak.
Now, a database from the Road Transport Department, JPJ, is one of the elements that the government will use in identifying targeted subsidy recipients involving petrol. Now, Minister of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living, KPDN, Datuk Seri Salahuddin Ayub, said the ministry had discussed the matter with the Ministry of Finance and Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli. The JPJ database contains vital information in identifying the vehicle's horsepower and engine cubic capacity, or CC, used by the targeted groups for subsidies. Now, this mechanism can be discussed as soon as this targeted subsidy is approved by the government.
Perdana Menteri telah memberikan arahan supaya perkara itu diteliti, dan tapi buat masa ini kerajaan masih lagi meneruskan polisi yang ada, iaitu kita tidak menarik balik ataupun kita tidak menaikkan sebarang tarif yang kita rasakan boleh membebankan rakyat. Jadi polisi itu masih lagi diteruskan sehingga pada satu masa yang NECOL akan membuat keputusan.
Datuk Sri Salahuddin added that the proposed paper on targeted subsidies had been presented during the meeting of the National Action Council on Cost of Living, or NACO, chaired by the Prime Minister last Tuesday. Coming up in our foreign segment, 22 killed in fire at Russian home for the elderly. A French serial killer, Charles Sobhraj, responsible for multiple murders in the 1970s across Asia, arrived in France early today after almost 20 years in prison in Nepal. Nepal's top court ruled on Wednesday that he should be freed on health grounds and deported to France within 15 days. On Friday, he was released and put on a flight at Kathmandu airport to take him to Paris via Doha. While on the flight to Doha, he insisted to a journalist that he was innocent. Sobhraj's life was chronicled in the series The Serpent, co-produced by Netflix and the BBC, detailing how he terrorized the continent with a string of murders that targeted tourists. Now, sometimes posing as a gem trader, he would befriend his victims, many of them Western backpackers in the 1970s hippie trail, before drugging, robbing and murdering them. The court ordered Sobhraj, who had heart surgery in 2017, to be released on health grounds after he served more than 3/4 of his sentence for murdering a US tourist and a Canadian in Nepal in the 1970s. On arrival at the Charles de Gaulle airport in Paris, he was taken away by border police for extra identity checks. According to an airport source, Sobhraj had left the airport evading media scrum waiting in the arrival hall. Now, a fire erupted overnight in a private illegal nursing home in the Siberian city of Kemerovo, killing 22 people. According to Russia's investigative committee today, the blaze gutted the second floor of the building, which was not officially registered as a home for the elderly. The Telegram statement added that 6 more were injured. 2 of them were hospitalized and are in serious condition with burns. The Russian state-run news agency TASS reported that the fire spread over 180 square meters in a 2-story wooden building. In a video released by the emergency services, a long row of emergency vehicles lined up outside the burning building as firefighters tackled flames which sent plumes of smoke into the night sky. Images released by emergency services showed the building later completely burned out. The Kuzbas Regional Administration said on its website that the preliminary cause of the fire was a violation of fire safety rules when operating a heating stove. The Russia's investigative committee, which investigates major crimes, said it opened an investigation into causing death by negligence. Now, many homes for the elderly operate without authorization in Russia, officials said, meaning they were considered private property and not subject to inspections. The heavy snowfall continued to blanket areas across northern, eastern and western Japan today, paralyzing traffic and causing blackouts. Now, the snowfall that has continued along the Sea of Japan coast in northern and western areas of the country since 17th of December has killed 11 people and injured 77 people as of this morning. According to Japanese public broadcaster NHK, around 6,300 households suffered a power blackout as roads were closed and trains were suspended in the northern Niigata prefecture. Nagoya City in Aichi Prefecture, central Japan, observed 10 centimeters of snow as of this morning, marking it the first time since 2014 the city had so much snow accumulation. Now, NHK also said more than 7,500 households in Japan's northernmost prefecture, Hokkaido, had no electricity as of 10 a.m. today. Hokkaido Electric Power said its investigation found that a steel tower that supports power lines had collapsed and it was not sure when it can restore the power supply. In response to Hokkaido's request for disaster relief, about 20 members from the Self-Defense Force had helped provide relief at a shelter set up in the city, lending out stoves and other items. Weather officials are also asking residents to stay cautious and refrain from non-essential outings until Monday, as heavy snow may disrupt traffic and cause more power outages. Nearly 1.5 million US power customers were in the dark on Friday as a severe winter storm walloped the country, causing highway closures and thousands of flight cancellations days before Christmas. Heavy snow, howling winds and air so frigid it instantly turned boiling water into ice took hold of much of the nation, including normally temperate southern states. Now, according to the National Weather Service, some 240 million Americans, 70% of the population, were under weather warnings as wind chills brought temperatures down as low as minus 48 degrees Celsius. The biting cold is an immediate concern for some 1.5 million electricity customers, mainly in the U.S. South and East, who were without power. Transportation departments in North and South Dakota, Oklahoma, Iowa, and elsewhere reported near zero visibility, whiteouts, ice-covered roads, and blizzard conditions, and strongly urged residents to stay home. At least 2 traffic fatalities were reported in Oklahoma. Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky, confirmed 3 in his state. Coming up in sport, ISTAF wants dissolution of MASTAF to be in accordance with the Constitution. Now, the dissolution of the Malaysia Sepak Takraw Federation, or MASTAF, needs to be in accordance with the constitution of the parent body, including being decided through a special general meeting. International Sepak Takraw Federation, or ISTAF's Secretary General, Dato' Abdul Halim Kadir, said this was as provided under Clause 45.1, where the action of dissolution also needs to be approved by 2/3 of the affiliated members who have the right to vote. In a statement, he said Clause 45.2, meanwhile, states that if dissolved according to Clause 45.1, then all valid debts must be settled by MASTAF, while the balance, if any, should be handed over to the public trustee. Meanwhile, Clause 45.3 states that the dissolution decision must be submitted to the Sports Commissioner's office within 14 days from the date of dissolution. On Tuesday, MASTAF President Datuk Suhaili Abdul Rahman announced the dissolution of the governing body with immediate effect. Moving on to football, the Philippines seemed to have recovered from the surprise 3-2 defeat by Cambodia last Wednesday, when they thrashed Brunei 5-1 at the Rizal Memorial Stadium in their Group A match of the 2022 ASEAN Football Federation, or AFF Cup. The Philippines opened accounts early in the game with Kenshiro Daniel scoring in the 7th minute. 5 minutes later, a blistering shot from outside the penalty box by Sandro Reyes made it 2-0. In the second half, 2 goals within a minute, the first by striker Jesus Melisa in the 50th minute, and the second by Sebastian Rasmussen in the 51st minute, put the game beyond Brunei's reach. Brunei managed to score a consolation goal in the 70th minute through Razimi Ramli, but the Philippines added yet another through Rasmussen in the 88th minute. Manchester United coach Erik ten Hag is aware that his club's excessive spending in the closed season transfer window means there is pressure to secure a top 4 finish this term. Now, at the moment, United are 5th in the current standings, 3 points off the top 4. United spent more than £200 million to bring in Brazilian duo Anthony and Casemiro from Ajax Amsterdam and Real Madrid, respectively. Argentine World Cup winner Lisandro Martinez and Dutch fullback Tyrell Malacia ahead of the current campaign. Ten Hag, who took over as coach from Ralf Rangnick in April, has revamped a squad looking to turn things around after their worst ever Premier League points haul last term. It remains unclear whether two players key to United's attempted transformation, first-choice centre-back pairing Martinez and Rafael Varane, will be available for Tuesday's home clash with Nottingham Forest. Varane was on the losing side as France succumbed to Argentina in last weekend's World Cup final, with Martinez watching on from the bench as an unused substitute. Josh Cohen, a member of England's 1966 World Cup winning squad, has died at the age of 83. The former fullback spent his entire 13-year club career on the books at Fulham, making more than 400 appearances for the Cottagers. Cohen won 37 caps for his country and was a go-to option for the Three Lions in defence when they savoured World Cup glory on home soil. Cohen served as vice-captain to Bobby Moore in the final of that tournament, with England claiming a historic international crown courtesy of a famous 4-2 victory over West Germany. He was one of the four 1966 heroes to be awarded an MBE in the year 2000, having never officially seen his achievements on the football field recognised prior to that. In a statement, West London outfit Fulham described Cohen as one of his greatest ever players. England's hero against West Germany in 1966, Geoff Hurst, who was the only man with a World Cup final hat-trick until Kylian Mbappe's treble for France against Argentina on Sunday, also paid a fond tribute by describing Cohen as a lovely man. Gary Lineker, who starred for England at the 1986 and 1990 World Cups, said Cohen earned footballing immortality by helping the team to their 1966 triumph.
Why do we tell you stories?
Relevant,
New,
efficient,
accurate.
reliable. We bring you extraordinary stories from around the world, from politicians, bankers, and even your favorite celebrities. This and many more on RTM's English News.
And that's it for this evening. In our top story, body of last Batang Kali landslide victim found. As it is Christmas Eve, we'd like to wish all our Christian viewers a blessed Christmas Eve, and may this Christmas holiday fill your home with love, happiness and prosperity. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Jessica Lee. Have a good evening.